Okay, I'll quickly switch over to my virtual machine. So please stay with me. So this is how the shortcut for Uniface 10 looks once installed. We start with a familiar screen. Has exactly the same functionality as Uniface 9 developers are used to. So for now I click OK. We have a splash screen and it opens with the start page. So in navigating, this is the drop down that I spoke about. Here I open a project with the right mouse click, not necessary with a click. In preparing for this demo, I already created two projects, one of them being the sales orders project. Click on it and here's another tab. And my sales orders project contains an order versus order line model populated with some demo data. There is an order DSP and an order DSP that uses some CSS. We have an order form, a client server component, and a client server application shell. Let's take a look at data modeling in Uniface 10 by opening the orders.sales entity, and like it was mentioned in the presentation, there is no longer a separate component to edit your data model. But it is still necessary and mandatory to have it in the definition of your entity. So that's where the orders.sales the name is coming from. The sales being the model that the order entity is in.
Arjen. Is Eddie Arjen?
So
no.
We can, of course, there is your key definition, key definition tab.
No, ma
which is the order num,
è questo che
define relationships.
Perché sull'elenco
If I double click on the orders on the left, there's a new piece of functionality that I quite have come to like. You quickly see the direct relations of the entity that you double clicked. So in this case, here's your orders, and on one-to-many on the many sides is the order line.
Altoparlanti esterni, altoparlanti. No, è finito.
In
alza il volume.
Okay. Okay. I had a small distraction by some background noise. So this is nice new functionality. Again, going over the various functions. Here's your write script part, and here are some familiar names. This is how the coding in the model is done. Defining relationships is typically done by dragging and dropping, and when I select the order line, we should see the relationship. Based on this existing model, I'm not going to close it. I'm back in the tab for my project, and I would like to create another dynamic server page. So I click this dynamic server page from the left, drop it onto the sales orders project, and here it is, with a default name, the UCDSP in number 2. Double click it, rename it to a more proper name, number 2. It's already existing, I think. Let's make it number 12. So here's my placeholder. On the right click, I open it. And here is a completely empty DSP. We are going to populate this one with some order fields. So by dragging and dropping again, I place the orders on the DSP, the orders entity. We can do, in creating DSPs, we can do a multiple select, dropping it onto, and we now have the orders and orders entity with all its fields. For instance, I would like to change the date field from a standard model defined edit box to a date picker, and here it is. And it stays there. The total is a derived number, so instead of an editable field, I would like to make it a static text. We now need labels. So I take this one. You see I scroll through this, and we have main categories like the entities, the data entry, data display buttons, and the complex ones, entity control buttons. Come to that later. So obviously a label is in the data display category. I can drop it onto here, and now the IDE is asking me to do it before or after. I'm choosing before. Same thing can be done here. And here. And here. Well, you get the point. So we have to rename the labels, and my personal favorite in this one is just copying and pasting the field name shortly, double clicking here, Ctrl V, and it's done. There's another way to do it. I saw Mike doing this. No, not there. Okay, I'll stick with my method. Mike can demo his method anytime if he wants. Okay. Well, you get my point. This is how it works. So if I now would compile my DSP, here in the back, on the bottom, I should say, is the compiler output, and this is a nice enhancement too. Compiler output being in the same window all the time, not having to open a separate window and clicking it to close, etc. Very nice indeed. Messages are also here. If I would now go to the design layout, I can select the total tree from the orders.sales tree. And if I say copy as unformatted HTML and bring it to here, right mouse click, paste it, and do a compile. Two infos, one warnings, nothing real serious. So if you want to test your DSP, you click actions, click show QR code, and of course the mobile functionality is also available in Uniface 10, hence the QR code. By simply clicking on the QR code, your default browser will open on the default port, my port being the 8088, and already is a very simple DSP visible. Of course, I only renamed the first two labels, the order number and the date. I did not rename the three others, like you see. We do not yet have any buttons on this DSP, and so therefore we cannot do much with it right now. But this is the principle. Of course, we can add buttons to the DSP. Going back to the define structure, and I can here is a complete library of some control buttons. For instance, the retrieve, the clear button on, and I take the server ones. We can do, I think, a multiple select, doing after the total field, and they are here. And of course, we can also populate the order line. So let's take a look at how a more complete DSP would look like this way. And I'm opening a prepared DSP for you. Right clicking, opening this DSP. Let's quickly run over the complete structure. Here's the orders entity with all the fields and the labels. After the total field of the order, there's the order line entity with inline all its fields, and inline in the order line is the creation and the remog button for creation and removing of an order line, and then further on the outline again, a button to clear the complete order, to create a new order, to remove the order, and retrieve and store the order. This one is already compiled, but I do recompile. Here again is the compilation output. It's here. I go to actions again, show QR code, click on it, and here is a more complete DSP, still a very unmade up one. Without any lipstick, but I can at least do a retrieve, and you see here the population of the data with the one-to-many relation of the order and order line. So we have like two orders. The first order has two order lines, the second order has one order line, and the date picking functionality should work. For instance, if I would add an order, I'm using default Internet Explorer, which has no date picker in it. But if you would use any other browser like Chrome or Firefox, and of course you can use Chrome or Firefox by simply copying and pasting this URL in it. And you can also, by editing your assignment file, I think, change your default browser to, for instance, Chrome or Firefox if you like it, or Edge. I mentioned cascading style sheets already. I prepared one with some CSS, and I'm opening it here. It's typically the same order line DSP, but if I would look at the design layout, you would see a reference here for a cascading style sheet that is in the proper directory of the Uniface installation. Not necessarily new to Uniface 10. This can also be done in Uniface 9. It is already compiled, but I'll compile it anyway. And if I run it by clicking on the QR, so this looks a bit. Some nice buttons with even some shadow on it. It's working, and yeah, it's already looking looking a bit nicer than the standard DSP. But of course it's using the same mechanism of Uniface to populate the data in your browser. So closing it off. This was on DSPs. Uniface 10, the Uniface 10.2 is a complete version, so that means that we also address desktop client-server functionality. I already made a client-server form, but for now I will create a new one. I'm looking for a non-modal form. It's here. By dragging and dropping the non-modal form from the left onto the project, renaming it to order form 12, for instance. I've now added it to my project. Right mouse click, opening it. A new tab opens, and it's only a marker. So I will make my screen a bit smaller for good reason. I will show you. Of course, I want to have entities on my client-server form, and I'm going to do this by selecting the order. And if I now go to define frames, a familiar pane tableau comes up. Here it is. So selecting the order in the model tab, and directly clicking on the pane tableau and dragging, you drag the familiar rectangular, and it's the well-known frames within frames principle of Uniface. So we have our order entity. Now by selecting one field and again directly going to the pane tableau, here's my order number. I want to have a label. So I'm clicking the label, and watch carefully. I will click in the field and then keep my left mouse button pressed and start dragging, or drawing I should say. And here's my order number label. The label is of course inherited from the model. And with this action it's now already bound to the field. So let's do this again. I will take a second field. Here's the date. Click in the date, and here's my date. So I will directly address a question from the morning run. This is at the moment the way to design your fields in client server. There is not yet a load fields functionality. There will be in next release. The lab is currently looking into it, and it will not exactly be the Uniface 9 way, but there will be a load fields functionality. So this is the way fields are designed in client server. Of course, if you want your order line, it's done like this, by just and here it is. My order line is now one to many, and of course from the order line I can also select for instance the order line number, start drawing, and label. Here's my order line label, and here's the well-known waffle. So I've now designed 3 occurrences on my screen for the order line. That should look all very familiar to the existing Uniface developers. Same principle. On buttons. Here's my selection of entity control buttons. For instance, if I would like to have a retrieve data from database button, I click this, define frames. So for instance, a create occurrence button, it's like this. And this differs from the way you would do this in Uniface 9. In Uniface 9 we would typically have a dummy entity in the model and have the buttons within the dummy entity. Now the buttons are coming from this template, and there's already some code associated with it. So let's close this paint tableau and maximize the IDE again, and have a look at a completed client-server form, the order form that I already created. So here it is, all fields of the order, fields of the order line, some buttons, and if we would then click the paint tableau again, it looks like this. So yeah, I'd say very, very familiar to all the existing Uniface 9 functionality. Still frames within frames. Buttons are derived from a palette. It's a choice for me at this moment to take these standard buttons from the standard palette. If we would now close this again, maximize this. I will compile it. It was already compiled, but let's do it again. Compiler output, nothing to worry about, 3 info messages. At this moment, at this point in time, there's no option in the action menu to directly start a client-server component from the IDE. I know that the lab is looking into this, and this will appear, I think, in a later version. For the moment, I'm just using Windows functionality here. Mike told me this trick. It's wonderful. You can do this with all your application windows. Clicking, you start another instance of the same program. So me starting another instance of Uniface 10 and using the good old /tst switch, and then the name of the order form that the component that I created. And here we go. And here it is. And of course we have like I already mentioned, this data I entered on beforehand, so I'm just retrieving existing data that I entered. Of course we can add order lines, we can add orders, etc, etc. Yeah, I have to create and save an order before adding an order. That's good feedback, thank you very much. It's not so bad to have to start a separate run of Uniface, because from Uniface 9, from the IDF, you could only directly test run modal forms. Non-modal forms, for a good way of working, you would always have to start a separate application shell, or the same way I did it here. And so I think this is not too bad. I can get used to this. So this is concludes my my demo. Just some small things I'd like to show you, some extras. If you would like to not only test run your wrap it up. Okay, oh yeah, 5 o'clock. Okay, so last bonus that I'm giving you. If you would like to not only test your order form but also use the debugger, please do this like this, the /deb/tst, which then will start the debugger like this. The very familiar debugger. I'm only showing you how to start the debugger. That's the main purpose of this. Debugger itself has not been changed. Has the complete functionality from Uniface 9. Okay. So this is a small demo from Uniface 10. Quickly going back to my presentation. So I used a pre-constructed application model. We developed a small DSP, and we took a look at a completed DSP and a DSP with some cascading style sheets. And then we developed a small desktop client-server form, and we took a look at a completed client-server form. I can really recommend this part of the Uniface library, the tutorials. This can really help you in learning Uniface 10. My demo material is also coming from this tutorial. So this tutorial is taking you to this order line model and teaches you how to develop a DSP and a client-server form, and then it goes on in developing a startup shell and enhancing some of the things you already made. Please take a look at it. It will teach you. So my personal experience with Uniface 10 so far. Perhaps you know this one is the Kubler-Ross change curve. It's coming from I think the field of psychology. This is typically the curve that a human being goes through when confronted with big changes. So first I was in denial, then in realization, etc. The change, of course, switching from Uniface 9 to Uniface 10. For me, I'm now on the upper part of the curve, and understanding the change and seeing new ideas, and being optimistic and accepting Uniface 10. So from this feeling, my general positive findings are that the developer stays in one well-developed main screen. There are less separate actions needed to perform a certain task, and the creation of objects seems more natural compared to using Uniface 9. We're also very curious about your experience. We welcome your views, opinions, and expressions. So please share your findings on the Uniface 10 forum, which already contains lively discussions and good feedback. And we will look at all your feedback and take all your questions very seriously, and perhaps make them into enhancements in future versions of Uniface 10. Thank you very much. How are we doing on questions, Mike?
Loads.